So I've been training martial arts for about 2 years now. I have some experience in it. I'm not super experienced. I'm nowhere near being a professional or anything like that. But nevertheless, I feel like I still remember what it's like to be a beginner. I still feel like a beginner in many ways. And I remember when I started out, there's a few things that I would have definitely done differently right now. So maybe you're starting your mixed martial arts journey or you're thinking about doing that. Maybe I can help you through my past experiences. Now, you may be wondering, why the fuck is this guy wearing a hat? Because you can probably tell I'm indoors. I'm wearing a hat because my hairline is clapped and I shaved my head and now my hairline is exposed. And I'm definitely not gonna make you watch that the whole video. I might show you like my clapped hairline later, but I'm not gonna make you watch that throughout the whole video. So without further ado, let's go over these 7 things that I wish I knew before I started training mixed martial arts. Now, the first thing is that you won't make much progress or any progress if you're doing this alongside another endeavour. So when I started, I was training football at the time, and my initial plan was to stop playing football for 3 months. In those 3 months, train martial arts, and I was so naive that I thought that with 3 months of martial arts training that I would like know self-defense, that I'd become pretty good at martial arts, and I could kind of go back to football and kind of fulfill that desire of learning how to fight. Well, I talked to my coach, I talked to both my MMA coach and my football coach, and what I decided to do was to do football and MMA at the same time. So I trained mixed martial arts 3 times a week and football 3 times a week, and then I played a football match every weekend. This led to burnout, this led to very little progress in both fields, it felt like, because my energy was spread out over these different endeavors and it meant that I couldn't make that much progress in either. So I guess the thing I wish I knew was to put everything on one thing, right? And then after training for about 6 months, I did actually do that. So I decided to quit football. It was a very difficult decision for me because I love football. I trained it for a few years at that point, and I had friends in my football team, and I liked my coach, etc., etc. So it was a difficult decision to quit that, but I realized that I need to choose something. I can't be doing this and this at the same time because I'm not going to be able to make much progress. Now, the second one, this one's a bit less serious. This is to get a groin guard as soon as possible, right? A groin guard is basically something to protect your dick, essentially. And you can find them, I think like the technical name for it is suspense, you can find them on the internet. You want to get one of these as soon as possible. I didn't get one for like the first few months of training, just because like nobody really told me about it. And doing jiu-jitsu, and then also the dangers of getting a front kick, right in that area. Like now, like thinking about training without a groin guard to me just feels so alien, but I did do it for a few months. So really want to get one as soon as possible, obviously, because like you want to protect that area, and you don't want to like fucking just risk it, and then you're not going to be able to have kids or something. So get a groin guard as soon as possible. They're not super expensive, although I would invest in a good one. Maybe I'll link one down below, but yeah, just get a groin guard. The third thing, this one is more of a kind of mindset tip, which is that patience and humility are absolute essentials to make progress in MMA. At the beginning, it's extremely frustrating. I always say that, like, I think that you're probably worse at fighting 1 month into training than before you started training. Just because, like, before you started training, at least you've got that ego. You've got that kind of male bravado, that ego where you're like, yeah, I could probably take you on. Like, yeah, I could probably knock a guy out if I needed to. And then once you've been training for a month, you know that you don't know jack shit, and you know that you don't know how to throw a punch. You've been exposed to your incompetence, and that feels frustrating, that feels annoying, but that's why you need patience and humility. You need to be patient, you need to understand that this takes time, and you need to be humble. You need to realize that, okay, I'm not where I want to be yet, but I can get there through hard work, through training, through consistency. Number 4 is especially for beginners, guys who are just starting out. When you are tensed, like when you are doing some light boxing, light kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, whatever, right? Whatever martial art you're doing, if you are tense, if you are trying to hurt somebody, or if you're really scared that they're gonna hurt you, and because of that you're like really tensed and you're like your muscles tighten and you're kind of like very reactive to everything that's going on, that makes you fight worse. You need to be loose and relaxed. And at the beginning, this is difficult because if you've never been punched before, you're going to be scared and you're going to be reactive, and you're going to be facing this guy who's been training for a year or longer, and you're only just starting out, and you're scared that he's going to hurt you, right? But the more tense you are, the less able you are to protect yourself, and the less able you are to do any counter attacks because you're just constantly reactive. So you need to start learning how to be more loose and more relaxed. And like I've been training for 2 years, and I still catch myself sometimes like being tense, like trying to hit somebody really hard, or really like kind of being with somebody who's more experienced than me, and then really being very reactive instead of like taking the initiative. So I still make this mistake, and I still need to remind myself to be more loose, more relaxed. Number five, now this is like a harsh truth that the sooner that you accept, the better it will be for you. Some people don't spar lightly. Some people will not do a lights round with you because there will be guys in the gym who are psychos who, like, you can tell them hundreds of times, listen, let's go light, okay? Let's do a slow round. Let's just do some technique because, but every time you do a round with them, they're going to try and knock you out. They hit as hard as possible. Like, they're dickheads a little bit, right? Nobody really likes them. Like, it's kind of annoying to train with such a guy, right? Unless you're like doing like sparring, where you're supposed to be doing that. Like, it's annoying because you want to do technique, you want to learn, and you don't want to, speed run your way to CTE. And they just like are trying to knock your head off every single time. But there is also at the same time, there's no point like kind of fighting against that. I don't think. I think you just have to accept some guys are like that, and honestly, just try and avoid those guys. Like if you're matching up with somebody, if you need to find a partner to do pads with, or to do kickboxing or jiu-jitsu with, like just try to avoid those guys. And when you are doing it with them, just accept it. Like this is going to be a war, um, because like otherwise you're just going to get like frustrated and like let down every single time where you tell them to go lightly, and then then you're going lightly, and then they take an uppercut out of nowhere. So yeah, that's just a harsh truth. That's, in my opinion, better to accept than to fight. I need to change my position here because my legs are cramping up. Number six, I think we're on now. Yeah, number six. So take your hygiene seriously. An MMA gym is like the bacteria's New Year's Eve party, right? There's so much viruses, bacteria just everywhere. Just like if you just think about it, right? There's loads of guys. They're sweating. They're sneezing. There's blood, and like you're rolling with each other. Like at the end of a session, like you're gonna have the sweat of like five different guys on your shirt. That sounds so weird. That sounds so weird. But you know what I mean? Like you're gonna be like rolling with guys. You're gonna do like being in the clinch with guys, and their sweat is gonna get on your shirt. And because it like after your first few sessions, the stuff's gonna stink really badly. Your gear's like, oh my god, this stinks so much. And then you get used to it, obviously, just like every kind of smell, you get used to it. But why you should take your hygiene seriously, first of all, other people don't get used to it. So people who don't train MMA don't get used to it. And if you, after MMA, like don't shower and you go to your job or you go to school, other people are going to notice. And I did this once. I made this mistake where I thought, yeah, I'll be fine if I don't shower after MMA. So I did a morning session. After that, I went straight to school, and it was very embarrassing because everybody noticed. As I walked through the corridor, they were like, what the fuck is that smell? Right? It was embarrassing. And that's one of the reasons. Second reason is if you've got a problem with like spots or acne, which I still do a little bit, then if you don't wash your face straight after training, those spots are going to get much worse. That's just something that I've found. So you would need to really ideally have a shower straight after training. If you can't have a shower, you should be able to have a shower. But if you can't have a shower, then just make sure you at least like go under a tap and wash your face. That's just going to mean that you're not going to get as many spots, and like you can still have a normal looking face. An extra tip here, I could add this as another point, but we're just going to do this as an extra tip. People often ask like, where should I put my gear? So if you've got like shin pads, if you've got gloves, if you've got knee pads, if you've got like a mouth guard, headgear, and your bag, where should you put it? Because that stuff stinks as well. And you can't really put it in your room because then your room stinks. You can't really put it in somebody else's room because then their room stinks. I've tried putting it outside, like putting it on the windowsill or somewhere outside, maybe next to the garden. That's cool, but also like once once I did that and there was like some cat piss on it, so maybe don't put your stuff where cats can piss on it. Where I found is the best place is the garage. So literally just a place where it's pretty cold, and like if it stinks in there, like doesn't matter that much because like people don't spend that much time in the garage. But the air is very cold in there, which means that for some reason the kind of stink doesn't go out. So yeah, that's like a big point, which is about I guess hygiene and smell and staying clean doing this dirty sport. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right, we're on the last point. The seventh thing I wish I knew before I started mixed martial arts is how to do a headstand. And in general, that gymnastics is actually a great tool to become a better martial artist. Something that seems quite counterintuitive. Right? A lot of guys think that going to the gym, packing on muscle, that's what's gonna make you a better fighter. Not really, right? There's guys in our gym that are jacked, that clearly, they've been lifting weights or they lift weights at the moment. That makes you slower. It makes you, again, tense up more. And usually their strength isn't that functional because they were training like a bodybuilder, isolating each muscle group, right? That strength isn't very functional in MMA, so that doesn't help. But gymnastics, on the other hand, help a lot in MMA because gymnastics is all functional movements, right? Whether it's pull-ups, whether it's again like a handstand or a headstand, all of these movements strengthen your muscles and they teach your muscles to work in groups, which is also what you need to do in MMA. And the first movement that I needed to learn, and I think it's a very good first kind of gymnastics movement to learn when you start martial arts, is the headstand. So I've actually made like a full video, which is like a headstand tutorial, where you can learn like step by step how to do a headstand. Just because at the beginning it's one of the things that I needed to learn, and I didn't really know how to do it that well. But here with this video, you can kind of speed run through the mistakes that I made and the things that I learned. So you can check that out. I'll probably like link in the description or be like a card somewhere because that's like a thing you can do right now. I think which I think is pretty cool. You don't need even to be signed up to an MMA gym yet, but if you learn to do a headstand, you're gonna have an advantage above other beginners because you've already kind of starting to think about gymnastics and strengthening your neck, which is very important for mixed martial arts. Let me know if you've got any questions, if you've got any things that you feel like you wish you knew when you started out your endeavour. And that is the video. Oh yeah, I was supposed to show you my clapped hairline. Okay, you ready? Fucking look at this, bro. Like maybe don't look at it. Actually, maybe you should close your eyes. So I buzzed my hair, and I mean I knew that I have this hairline, right? But it just doesn't look that good, and it looks even worse on camera. Believe me, I look better in person. Um, so yeah, stay strong, brother, and I will see you on the next one.